can't believe that. Sorry.
And that's better. You know what? I don't believe this. I've never had this happen until last Tuesday, and now it's happening every time. So sorry, everyone. Right? Oh, you missed again. A cracking first 30 seconds. What the heck is going on? That was a completely different reason why we got no audio. Oh well, we're here now. Let's start again, shall we?
Amateur hour is here.
Hello there. Yes. And I am the greatest amateur of all. I'm the Corinthian of broadcasting. Owen Roberts. Saying, hi, great win today. Well, I think it's fair to say, first half, well, at half time, you certainly didn't think we'd be saying that. It was a great win by the end, but the first half, horrible.
Yeah, first half, there's not really a lot we can say that's positive for Wrexham, I don't think. Wealdstone were far the better team, knocking it around us and deserved their lead going into the half. I think Wrexham showed a couple of glimpses of what appeared to be a game plan of hitting the long ball against Wealdstone, holding a bit of a high line and hoping that Thomas get the flick on and Angus's pace. And there was a couple of times Angus burst through once and showed a bit of pace but couldn't get the shot away. But apart from that, we just didn't work the keeper. There was no chances. And yeah, you scratching your heads at half time thinking there needs to be, whether it's a substitution or a change of tactic. And well, thankfully, the half-time team talk seemed to do the trick, and Wrexham came out, played football, pressed hard. That was the difference. Pressed on the front foot, made Wealdstone really struggle for time on the ball, which they'd had in abundance in the first half. And Wrexham also used the wide area as well, which has been. I think all season we've been our best when our wing backs have managed to get forward and get that width and just get balls into the box really and ask the goalkeeper and defender to deal with it. And if they haven't, we've created chances and Thomas has benefited again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the big difference was the pressing. I said in the commentary in the first half it was strange how we just clearly weren't pressing them in their half. I mean, our strikers would drop off 10 yards, and it really looked like a deliberate tactic. Then in the second half, we put pressure on them, and I think, quite frankly, they're a team who've just come up. They're down near the bottom of the National League, and once we got in their half and got in amongst them, we forced mistakes. Their technique let them down. And we were able to win the ball back in high parts of the pitch and capitalise upon it. But the second half was quite buccaneering compared to the first, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think I highlighted it. It was like, Wealdstone would have gone into that half more than happy. They'd have been ecstatic going in there. They'd played better football. They'd got the goal, and then yes, it was a quick 2-goal salvo to get us back into lead. But we continued to do it. We didn't step back. We played disciplined but high pressed football. Even when going down to 10 men, we continued and looked the better team, and I think that was all due to the press and the composure of the players, and it made Wealdstone perhaps what they are, and showed that that Tuesday night we played a very good football inside. Today we didn't. We allowed them to look like that the first half, and the second half we showed them what they probably are, and I mean that with respect. That apart from the number 17, Mondi, who shone for them and looked frustrated at times. Wrexham were much the better team in that second half.
Yeah, we got our acts together in the second half, didn't we?
Yeah.
Tom Scott 2.0 Communist Edition, a regular, asks, oops, it's just gone off my screen, asks, isn't your book being pulped? Yes, it is, and I will be there to watch it being pulped. Don't you worry. And there's a few comments about the sound going off at the start, which could also be deliberately misinterpreted as comments on our performance. Works now sound. But
well, the second half of this broadcast is much better than the first.
This is performance art. We're just mirroring what happened. So. Yes, JGP Lang. Oh, thank you. They're saying that a nice bit for the mascots. I recorded a virtual tour for the mascots before the game because we have virtual mascots, and it occurred to me that they always come along and have a tour of the ground, and part of it is the poor devils. The disappointing part of it is they'll come and chat to me for a bit about the media team. So I just thought it'd be quite nice to do that because we're trying to give virtual experiences here, and because the Level Playing Field initiative is worthwhile. We talked about at half time. I'll put that out as a separate podcast.
Yeah.
It's worth, I think, drawing attention to the good work that they do. and how it matches the club's ethos.
Well, it's a nice touch for you to do that. I didn't realise you'd done it, but also, like you said, it is something the mascots are getting. It's nice to include fans, and that whole the promotion today for the football and inclusive. It's something that is one of the strengths of the club.
Absolutely. And also, one thing I did get to show in that video, by the way, and this seems to be a new addition from last Tuesday.
Arquez?
Yeah. Now, sadly, you can't zoom this thing in, which is a shame because can you see the hawk? I think he's a hawk, is he? Kestrel or something?
Arquez.
Yeah, he's sitting above James.
He's got a microphone in his rear end. So that's the nice way of saying it. And I believe he's to get rid of the giant seagulls that live in the massive floodlights.
Yes, that's right. The seagulls come down and eat the grass seed. And so he's there. I know I've shown him very well to you before. I angled him down a bit. Maybe you can see him a bit better. But there's a fake kestrel, basically, hanging off the camera gantry. That's quite something, isn't it?
Having flown my drone up last year around the floodlights doing some of the footage and getting chased the length of the pitch by one of the monstrosity of seagulls. Yeah, he wasn't very happy. I had to do some avoiding and diving.
Oh, but that was good footage, though.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't recording at the time.
Oh!
But it was just a few of us watching the side.
Disappointing.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. Right, okay, Adam. JGP Lang also says, just shows what happens when you pass the ball. I think it also shows what happens when you press the ball, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We stepped her up a lot. And Ryan Price, here's a good question. Why do you think we've been going into half-time poor but come out second half so much better and have to do lots of work? I'm interested in that one because I don't think that's completely true. There was a spell about 6 weeks ago where I remember working out the stats and it was unbelievable how bad we'd been in first halves compared to seconds. But
I think there's a trend. There's obviously we've done it a few times, so it becomes a bit of a trend, and then identify as are we or not, aren't we? And I think I sort of said it after the full time. I think sometimes there's a bit of modern day coaching goes on to look at a little bit to the extreme of what the weaknesses of our other teams, rather than concentrating sometimes as much on your own game. And so I think there's a little bit of we'd obviously clearly identified a weakness in their high press and not having pace, and that was our game plan. And credit to the team that have gone in there at half time and identified that weakness and addressed it. Yeah, I mean, obviously you go in with a game plan to a match with what you think is going to happen, and depending how the match is going, whether you're ahead, you're behind, or it's level, and it's going how you want or not going how you want, you're going to adjust at half time. So. That's the best result of a half time and it working in your favour and addressing the issue, and we got a great second half, and fair play, you take the rewards when it works, and sometimes it doesn't work, and the fans let you know.
Yeah, it's I don't understand it. I just wonder. So when you think of the bad first halves we've had, are we maybe not very good at controlling games, if you see what I mean? So we're not a team who are all that good at getting the ball on the floor, imposing ourselves on the opposition, just moving it around, dominating possession. So when we try to set out doing that, we tend to fail, and we tend to have these sort of quite moribund first halves where we don't really create anything. We're just shifting the ball around a bit, and then, well, certainly in away matches, we tend to be, sort of almost like sitting, waiting to go behind. And then the second half, right, we're losing now. We've got to pick this up. We've got to go at them. And we actually suit that a bit better, perhaps. You got Thomas who will fight. I mean, in the Aldershot game, Dean Keats said, with hindsight, he wished he just said, let's go long ball to Thomas, because we were playing badly. He was bullying their centre-backs. Are we more set up, maybe, to be more chasing games and attacking?
Possibly. It's a tough one, isn't it? Because I think you're a bit going back into how you adapt too much sometimes to different teams. Yeah. I think it's vital that you identify where your strengths are as a team and play to those strengths. And our strengths are playing it wide and pressing on the front foot. In the last couple of seasons, when we've come out in the first half and press, you can really tell the difference. I think having no crowd here is different this year because home games naturally the crowd is behind you the first 20 minutes, so the you'd seem to have that automatic adrenaline shot, if you like. So you expect teams to come out because the fans let you know if you don't. So it's difficult with not having the fans to see if that's made a little bit of difference, and not using that as an excuse. I mean it more as you don't have that pressure from the crowd reaction as much from that 20 minutes. But I think we definitely need to look what our strengths are and play to them, and particularly with no relegation this year, we want to be about that playoff position. So you don't want to go gung ho and completely. But I think let's identify our strength, identify a play style that works for our squad, and if it works and we get the results, brilliant. And if it doesn't, at least we're playing a cohesive game of football that's creates opportunities and works to our best.
Absolutely. Some other comments. Mark Lush saying, surely this bonus scheme should make players play 150%. To be fair, I don't think there's ever been any doubt about the players' commitment. I know you're not alleging that, but I don't think there's any question about their commitment and desire to win. But yeah, I mean, incentivization can make a difference. I know I keep saying this, but Jay Harris telling us on Dragonheart that the players, he feels 5% down on his normal performance just because there's a lack of crowds. Well, maybe that sort of, the incentive can just lift you up a little bit as well and compensate. It's a good idea, I think.
Yeah, I'm 50-50 with it. I think it's important. I think if you take your out of football and everyone looks at reality and if there's an opportunity to get a bonus, then you've got targets. Then everyone's going to work for that bonus. So that's natural human nature. You're going to want to try and achieve something. So I get the reason behind it. I think it's I think this group, it's a great way of doing the motivation because we haven't been able to bring in perhaps the signings that maybe we could have done if there was a transfer window open at the time. So it's a way of offering something towards achievement. I think that's great. But I think, sometimes I can think of players in previous squads that perhaps shied away from, or maybe were always injured a little bit. That might have been an incentive more for them to get back on the pitch. And but I think this squad, I don't see any of those types of characters. But I think it's tremendous.
Play without inhibition, which seems to suit this side better, I think. Tom Scott again asking me, did the book look like porridge during the pulping? Yes, and it smelled of gas. He's exhausting me, Tom, with his references.
I have no clue what book you're on about, but it sounds horrible. It sounds a recycling project at least.
Bouncing Back, it's entitled. It's partly about how I drove to Dundee barefoot eating Toblerone, but that's a different matter altogether. Skellenberg is keen for us to answer this question because he's asked it 3 times. What do you think of Sammy and Noah, the virtual mascots? Legends. That video they did with the dads is absolutely fantastic, I think.
Great stuff.
Skip a bit. Again. Oh, hang on. Where have you gone? Let's skip a bit's question. Oh, that's strange. Okay, so I see what's happened there. I beg your pardon. Can Thomas be the 15 to 20 goal striker we've been craving, or is it more likely to be Angus? I mean, my brain says that's a big ask for Thomas, but then to be fair, he is said we're halfway through the season and he's now got 8, so he is sort of on target to be pretty much there, isn't he?
I think if you look at Thomas's record, I think is it 4 goals his highest season, or certainly around that. That's his average at least. If you look at his all-round play, he's a target man and a player that can work as like a fox in a box and be a nuisance around the goalkeeper. And obviously that's where he scored his goals as well. But his play of getting into the defender's head, holding it up and allowing an attack, I think if you can get that type of striker scoring 10 to 12 goals a season, you're very, very happy at that point. But alongside him, you need someone that is banging in that 15 to 20. Angus is more of a traditional wide striker. And again, I would be happy if you could get 10 goals a season from him and a few assists. He's being asked to play alongside Thomas, and I think so far the partnership, the majority of the games, has caused defences problems, apart from maybe Tuesday night. But, it's vital that we get the right service, and when we've got the ball wide and got the ball into the box, the strikers coincidentally have scored goals. So it's not rocket science. If we're not feeding the strikers the opportunities to get the goals, they're not going to hit every single one because they're at this level or around this level, and they're not in the upper echelons of the Premiership for consistency, and that's the difference. But you've got to make the chances. You've got to work the keepers, and I think if we play to their strengths, I think there's enough goals in those two to certainly to help us. I'd like to see Ponticelli join that. I think he needs that goal for some confidence because we saw glimpses of it last season. He's been injured a lot, and it's been a bit part of a season for him so far. But there is, you look at his. I know it's difficult youth levels and bringing it through. If you score goals at whatever level, you're always going to score goals. And I think if we can get the opportunities to him as well, and at the moment he can't get in the team because there's decent performances from Thomas and Angus, then I think we're okay.
Absolutely. James Waterhouse will come to you in a second, but Tom Scott has actually paid $1.99 to say, Dan, good reference, my friend. And he says, please use the $1.99 towards something for the good of mankind. Good man. Well, I was thinking we should add it to the players' bonus, which then, across a 16-man squad, correct me if my maths is wrong, will come out at just under 12.5 pence each. So thank you very much, Tom. Very much appreciated. Good man. I think that's the first time someone's actually paid to put a promoted comment in, actually. So bravo. James Waterhouse, he says, still think Davis should be on the wing, but agree he's growing into the centre mid. Yeah, I mean, I like him on the wing. I think he's very good on the wing. But, we've got record there. He's been playing well, so Davis is flexible enough to play in other areas. I just think the temptation with Davis has got a lot of ability, and I just think the temptation where he can really influence the game at the heart of it is difficult to resist, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I've covered Davis a couple of times, perhaps not on the post-matches stuff, and I think there's a very technically gifted player there. We know that, and we need to try and get the best out of him and harness him for Wrexham. He was in danger for me of being that utility player that never really has a position, never nails down a position, and therefore just becomes a squad player that never really gets a consistent start, gets a consistent position, and therefore you never get the best of them. For instance, we played him centre half, we played him, left wing back, with some sort of an inverted winger, a number 10, and I think this centre midfield role, he is growing into it. It's not his natural role. It's difficult in the National League because it's a very physical league as well. But he's adapting to it. He's adapting to the pace of the game. He's adapting to the physicality of the game. His aerial ability is coming on greatly. I think he wins quite a few headers that go unnoticed in there. He's a little bit reckless in the challenge, but not to the point that I don't mind that because you need a bit of nastiness in your game, and he's got that. He's showing that. Needs to perhaps just adapt a little timing for some of the challenges. You sometimes think it was a bit tight, and perhaps he rushes some passes that he's expecting players to be there sometimes because of the upbringing in the academy where the football is more of a higher pace, higher tempo, and players are making certain types of runs. So you see some of his passing is a little bit wayward, but I think there's enough there to persevere, and I think with the run of games he's had, he's grown into that role, and I think if we stick to him, I think he's one potentially for the future. If you get, as players adapt and change as they naturally will coming into new seasons and stuff, he's one that can grow with the club, and I think could be, a local lad done good.
Yeah, that'd be nice to see, wouldn't it? Tom Scott saying, if we were to go up and keep this squad, would you say it'd be incapable of staying up? Only speculation now, what with a takeover, but a tough thing to say. Well, I wouldn't overestimate League Two.
No,
I think the bottom end of League Two is quite poor from what I've seen of it. Now, okay, this squad, all right. I mean, let's be honest. If we went up, we would then reinforce this squad.
Yeah.
So, if we did go up, and Dylan Lovell is asking, do I think we could go up? Yeah, I do. We are fifth with over half the season got, so we're definitely in a position. We're in the playoffs. We're 4 points clear of not being in the playoffs at the moment. And I know teams have got games in hand, but I'd rather have the points personally.
Yeah, we've been in too many seasons when we've had the games in hand and not capitalised.
Well,
so points on the board is better.
And they've all got to play each other.
Yep.
So I mean, and teams with games in hand are soon going to find their midweeks completely running out and are going to have problems, I think. So we definitely could go up. Definitely, I think. I'm not saying this is the most scintillating Wrexham team ever, but it could happen because who's standing out as better than us? No one, I don't think, at the moment. I know Hartlepool much better than us on Tuesday, but that was one game. We beat them away. But okay, if this squad stayed as it was, I think we'd stay up but not make any. Yeah, I genuinely think the bottom end of League 2 is poor. I think we're pretty good defensively, and with our injured players back as well, I think we'd stay up. I don't think we'd make any waves, but if we went up, we would bring in some players to reinforce. And we've seen, haven't we, that teams coming up from the National League have often kicked on quite well, and I think we'd be in a position to do that.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, you're never going to keep the same squad that goes up, regardless if we were the 98-point team that ran so close. You're going to have a bigger budget, not just because of the new owners, because of the TV money that naturally comes with a higher division, and that side of it, the sponsorship and the exposure. So you were going to take that. But if we took this squad and it was opening day of next season in League 2, yeah, there's players that have played that level. I mean, you look, Fondop's just gone to League 1 and scored a goal. So, he's a player that...
Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is there's players that cross in between. Jake Lawler left here because we believed he wasn't, right for us to going forward. He's now into a League 2 side, starting well and performing quite well. Keeler Dunn, another player we had here that didn't like this league, but he certainly looked a decent prospect, and it would have been great to have kept him, but he didn't stand out as the best player in the National League, and is doing well. Bobby Grant couldn't necessarily do everything we wanted at this level, but again, is doing. So there's plenty of players crossed over. There's players at Kelleher who played, league football. Vassell, there's lots of them that Thomas has played a lot of league football. So yeah, why not? Again, you look at some of the other teams. I don't think they. Like you, I don't think they'd power through it, but the reality is there will be change.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking through, because I'll be honest with you, JGP Lang has said it's 12 degrees in Torquay, you all look cold. It is quite cold.
We're in the cold road stand, and there's
yeah.
no sun and the wind, is it?
Let's do some quick fires here, because there are some really nice questions. I'll just go past the fights that you guys have been having, which I kind of say is really enjoyable.
I have to check them out later.
That was good fun, yeah. JGP Lang again. Why play Durrell when Jarvis is fit? I guess Jarvis didn't take his chance on Tuesday, so they give Durrell the game, I guess. I mean, it was hard to judge Jarvis in a way in midweek. Like you said, James, in the commentary. In the first half, he was quiet. He looked lively at the start of the second half, and he goes off like less than 50 minutes into the second half. But I could see two sides to that, really, in a way, because he was getting into great positions, but he wasn't playing those killer passes. So I can understand the desire to change as well. But yeah, I guess Keats wanted more end products, and Durrell hasn't started for 10 games, and he thought, well, come on then, show me what you can do.
I think you need that in a squad. It's a squad game, and if someone isn't quite performing perhaps exactly to want, you've got to get, unless they nail their spot down. Thomas, a prime example, couldn't get in the team a few games back and has got back in and made a run of it, scored some goals, and now you would say he's at the point that he's not droppable. But when players aren't performing, and we don't see what goes on in the training pitch, and we don't see how everything goes on in the background, then other players will naturally be asking the manager the question, when's my chance? So I think it's vital that you have that rotation, and when you get your chance, if you take it, then you keep your place. And it's now Dan Jarvis's time to fight back and earn his another shot.
Yeah,
but I think he certainly showed some flashes of his ability on the ball. Definitely, definitely in a few games.
Absolutely. James Waterhouse. Hang on, beg your pardon. Barry Lloyd said, "What team do you think for next game with the sending off?" Remember, it's a tough game at Sutton, and it'll be a one-game suspension for 2 yellows. I would have thought they'll stick Carrington back as left-sided centre back, and slot French in.
Yeah, I suppose it depends how far Hall Johnson's away. If Hall Johnson's available, then you're back to the sort of, like you said, Carrington and French. And
I'd have thought Carrington, French, Keller as centre backs, and then Horsfield can play right wing back. And it might be you don't need Sutton a strong size, so Horsfield gives you that bit of extra security, perhaps. I was wondering.
Yeah, I think there's options. Yes, we're getting a little thin in places. It's not ideal with him being his first game back from injury, but there's options.
James Waterhouse, if we keep Davis in the middle, does Harris get in? Can't drop Young, and we need to play Jarvis. Well, I suppose James firstly, and Keats doesn't see it as needing to play Jarvis, but what Keats has been trying to do recently, I mean, we were playing with the midfield three as a three, weren't we, until fairly recently, but now we do seem to be trying to release the attacking one to get closer to the strikers with a sort of double pivot in behind. So in that case, okay, Davis, Young and Harris are scrapping for two places, aren't they?
Yeah, potentially. Although I could see Davis filling that more attacking role, having Young and Harris behind him. I think that might work. It's a tough one, isn't it? I think we're best when we're playing it wide, and that man behind the front two hasn't necessarily dominated enough to say that we have to have two of the three. Perhaps that number 10 slot can be a slightly deeper number 10 in a natural midfield, and Jordan Davis has a bit more license.
Absolutely. Tom Scott says, can you tell, is Ollie Williams around?
He walked past us on
Ollie.
the
camera. Yes, you walked past on camera, you weren't noticed. Tom Scott says, can you tell Ollie Williams he's 1969?
Well, that's better than I call.
I got live reaction here. Oh, here he comes. All right, mate.
Look like Paul McCartney in 1969 because, as we all know, Paul McCartney died in the early 60s.
Oh, that's a good answer. Fair play to the lad. Sound gear. Whatever that means.
I think Paul McCartney's generous. I'm still sticking to Kim Jong-il.
Look, everyone. It's our glorious leader. He'll have us executed for that. You know that, don't you? We're stuffed now. The best thing is, because he's in there, I can't see what he's saying.
No, he's mumbling furiously.
Good lad. Oh, that was beautiful. JGP Lang, I can't answer this. I don't think we can because we don't know the answer. How many watched the stream as the figures weren't shown? I don't know. Sorry.
Not a clue. We're underneath it, and we haven't moved from this spot yet. So
yeah, exactly.
I don't know, unfortunately.
How can you see we're underneath it? Where is the stream?
Because
don't give me a geography answer.
You pointed Kez out earlier. The microphone Kez. So.
Yeah, but that's not the stream. That's the camera crew. Where is the stream?
Oh, okay, yeah. I see
what is love?
I see where you're going with it.
Baby, don't hurt me.
I don't know.
Okay, we better stop in a moment because it's really cold. Simon Cook saying Torquay are dropping like a stone. I will continue to do this. Torquay will not win this league. I've put this on the record so many times. I'm going to look like a flaming genius. They will not win this league. Right. My screen's frozen, and so am I. Boom! Thank you very much. I'm here all week. We played Let It Go before the match. That
streaming service that fans can buy in as a one pitch, because I think it's £25 a month to have BT. I think.
Right.
So it is quite expensive, especially if you only had the one match out of it. Obviously, if you did the full run, it's possibly more economical.
That's true. Yeah. And finally, Tom Scott says, if a stream ever becomes a massive live show on Sky, I have to be a guest, surely. Yes, this time. Right, it's time to go. And on that bombshell, we actually won. I forgot about the game. We've been chatting about so many other things.
In fact, we can thankfully forget about the first half. I don't know if we can.
Yeah. The first half definitely never happened. When I do the highlights, I'm only going to put the second half on, I reckon.
Welcome to the second half. 45-minute highlights.
That's right. 4-0, 4-0. Beautiful. Okay, chaps. Wrexham won. The world feels okay again. Ta-ta. Oh, I'd stop the stream. Never mind bending over and trying to work the audio thing. Now, you see, I'm going to pretend now that I think that the stream has ended when it actually hasn't. And it'll be absolute comedy gold. What do you think? Stop staring at me like that. Have you buffered?
I'm doing the screen froze.
Oh, that's genius. And we're out. Well played.